Hi everyone, this video is about lifetime storage management and binding of referencing environments. What is lifetime? What is object lifetime? The period between the object creation and destruction is called object lifetime. For example, time between creation and destruction of a dynamically allocated variable in C++ using new and delete is an example of object lifetime. What is binding lifetime? The period between the creation and destruction of the binding. Example, a function's formal argument is bound to actual argument. A reference variable is assigned with the address of an object. In this example, we can see scope and lifetime. The scope of sum is contained within the compute, but the lifetime of sum extends over the time during which print header executes. Whatever storage location sum is bound to before the call to print header, that binding will continue during and after the execution of print header. In this example, you can see the difference between the scope and the lifetime. Object lifetime. What are the key events of objects? Creation of objects, creation of bindings, reference to variables which uses bindings, then deactivation of bindings, reactivation of bindings, destruction of bindings, destruction of objects. This is the key event in the life of an object. Creation of an object, here is a creation of binding is there, then there is a destruction of binding is there, then creation of object is there and destruction of object is there. Two common problems occur. First one is dangling reference. It means that no object for a binding. For example, a pointer refers to an object that has already been deleted. Second is memory leak. It means no binding for an object, preventing the object from being deallocated. So this is what is dangling reference. This is a question in previous KTU question paper. What is dangling reference? A dangling reference is a reference to an object that no longer exists. Dangling reference arises during object destruction, when an object that has an incoming reference is deleted or deallocated without modifying the value of the pointer, so that pointer will still point to the memory location of the deallocated memory. In languages with manual memory management like C or C++ can encounter dangling pointers by doing this. For instance, int pointer p is equal to new int, delete p, int I is equal to pointer p. That is an error, p has been deleted. Next is storage management. What do you mean by storage management? How the memory of the computer is organized for a running program. Allocation is there, getting a cell from some pool of available cells. Deallocation is there, putting a cell back into the pool. The lifetime of a variable is the time during which it is bound to a particular memory cell. So the lifetime of a variable begins when it is bound to a specific cell and ends when it is unbound from that cell. When a program is loaded into memory, it is organized into three areas of memory called segments: test segment, code segment, stack segment, and heap segment. There are three segments in memory. Static means global variable storage permanent for the entire run of the program. Stack means local variable storage or automatic continuous memory. Heap means dynamic storage, large pool of memory not allocated in continuous order. These are three segments in memory. In code segment, it is the place where the compiled code of the program resides. Stack is a special region of your computer's memory that stores temporary variables created by each function. When heap segment is there, it provides more stable storage of data for a program. Memory allocated in the heap remains in existence for the duration of a program. Three principal storage allocation mechanism. Static allocation is appropriate when the storage requirements are known at compile time. Static allocation is appropriate when the storage requirements are not known at compile time, uses last in first out discipline. Heap allocation is appropriate where storage cells are allocated and deallocated dynamically. What do you mean by static allocation? Static storage allocation is appropriate when the storage requirements are known at compile time. Static allocation for code, globals, static and on variables, explicit constants including strings, sets, etc. Scalars may be stored in the instructions. For each program unit, such as the main program, a function or a subroutine, there is a code segment and an activation record. What do you mean by activation record? It keeps track of values as a program executes. In static allocation, static variables bound to memory cells before execution begins and remains bound to the same memory cell throughout execution. Each procedure or function as well as the main program and a few other program structures may be compiled separately and associated with an activation record that can be entirely allocated by the compiler. This is the static allocation of subroutines. Static allocation space for subroutines in a language or a program without recursion can be seen in the figure. It contains arguments and returns, return address, miscellaneous, bookkeeping, local variables, temporaries. For Fortran and other languages which allow static storage allocation, the amount of storage required to hold each variable is fixed at translation time. Such languages have no nested procedures or recursion. Advantages: efficiency. All addressing of static can be direct. No runtime overhead is incurred for allocating and deallocating variables. History sensitive. Variables retain their values between separate execution. Disadvantage: storage cannot be shared among variables. Example: if two large arrays are used by two subprograms which are never active at the same time, they cannot share the same storage. Next is stack-based storage allocation. Stack-based storage allocation is appropriate when the storage requirements are not known at compile time, but the request obeys last in first out order (LIFO). Stack-based allocation is normally used in C, C++, Ada, Algol and Pascal for local variables in a procedure and for procedure call information. It allows for recursive procedures and also allocates data only when the procedure or function has been called. Example: local variables in a procedure in C, Ada, Algol or Pascal, procedure call information. Stack dynamic variables are allocated from the runtime stack. Parameters and local variables are stored in the stack frame. What are the contents of stack frame or activation record? It contains arguments and returns, local variables, temporaries, bookkeeping return address, reference to the calling frame, debugging information. Stack-based storage allocation. Example in Java is shown below. Java uses stack for allocating frames for each method invocation. Parameters and local variables are stored in stack frame. The variable declarations that appear at the beginning of a Java method are elaborated when the method is invoked, and the variable defined by those declarations are deallocated when the method completes its execution. This is the figure for stack-based storage allocation for subroutine. In this, we assume that subroutines have been called as shown in the upper right. B has called once recursively before calling C. If D returns and C calls E, E's frame, that is activation record, will occupy the same space previously used for the D's frame. At any given time, the stack pointer register, that is SP register, points to the first unused location on the stack or the last unused location on some machines, or the frame pointer, that is denoted as FP in figure, points to a known location within the frame of the current subroutine. The relative order of fields within the frame may vary from machine to machine and compiler to compiler. Compiler determines frame pointer. What is frame pointer? It is a register pointing to a known location within the current stack frame. The absolute size of the stack frame may not be known at compile time. Variable size arrays allocated on the stack. In stack pointer, register point to the first unused location on the stack, used as the starting position for the next stack frame. The absolute location of the stack frame in memory and the size of the stack frame are specified at runtime. What are the advantages of stack-based storage allocation? Advantages are data is automatically pushed onto the stack at the beginning of a function call. Data is automatically popped from the stack when a function terminates, making stack-based memory management highly reliable. In the absence of recursion, it conserves storage. All subprograms share the same memory space for their locals. Disadvantage: overhead of allocation and reallocation. Subprograms cannot be history sensitive. Stack-based memory allocation limitations. Each process is allocated a fixed amount of stack space. The process stack space is allocated by the operating system as part of the process startup activities. The amount of memory available through stack-based allocation is commonly far less than the amount of memory available through heap-based memory allocation. Once you are out of stack-based available memory, your process will crash. The memory associated with a local function variable is popped off the stack when the function terminates. Next is heap-based storage allocation. Heap is a region of memory where storage cells are allocated and deallocated dynamically. Nameless memory cells that are allocated and deallocated by runtime instructions specified by the programmer which take effect during execution. These variables which are allocated from and deallocated to the heap can only be referenced through pointers or reference variables. Heap is a collection of storage cells whose organization is highly disorganized because of the unpredictability of its use. Memory allocation is the process of assigning blocks of memory on request. The allocator receives memory from the operating system in a small number of large blocks that it must divide up to satisfy the request for smaller blocks. Any returned blocks must also be made available for reuse. When an allocation demand is made, the program searches the heap for a free block for at least requested size. In heap-based allocation, there are two spaces are further divided into two: is internal fragmentation and external fragmentation. Internal fragmentation. What do you mean by internal fragmentation? When a process is allocated more memory than required, a few space is left unused, and it is called as internal fragmentation. It occurs when memory is divided into fixed sized partitions. It can be cured by allocating memory dynamically or having partitions of different sizes. Next is external fragmentation. It occurs when memory is divided into variable-sized partitions based on size of process. External fragmentation occurs when the blocks that have been assigned to active objects are scattered throughout the heap. Many small, non-continuous, non-adjacent blocks of unused spaces are formed which can serve a new request if all of them are put together. But as they are not adjacent to each other, a new request can be served, and this is known as external fragmentation. No single free space may be large enough to satisfy the future request. This is the figure for external fragmentation. The shaded blocks are in use. The clear blocks are free, while there is more than enough total free space remaining to satisfy an allocation request of the illustrated size. No single remaining block is large enough. Solution to the problem of external fragmentation is compaction. The process is to shuffle the memory content so that all free memory is placed together in one large block. This is only possible if relocation of dynamic and done only at runtime. Example, compaction algorithm. There are many common storage management algorithms: first fit, best fit, and worst fit. Pool compact. First fit, returning the first block that fits the request. Best fit, returning the smallest block of that fits the request. Worst fit, largest block to avoid fragmenting the memory. Pool, dividing the list into sublist by size. Compact, moving the allocating heaps closer together to create large free blocks. When moving an object, one needs to update all the reference to it. Free list, list of blocks of free memory. The allocation algorithm searches for a block of adequate size to accommodate the allocation request. Allocation and deallocation may happen in arbitrary order. Memory may become fragmented. Need for garbage collection. There is usually a linked list, free list of all memory blocks. So another is garbage collection. What is garbage collection? At first sight, garbage collection should be dealing with what the name suggests, finding and throwing away the garbage. In reality, it is doing exactly the opposite. Garbage collection is tracking down all the objects that are still used and mark the rest as garbage. Garbage collection is the systematic recovery of pooled computer storage that is being used by a program when that program no longer needs to storage. In computer science, garbage collection is a form of automatic memory management. The garbage collector attempts to reclaim garbage or memory occupied by the objects that are no longer in use by the program. Then a dangling reference is there that is already discussed, is a reference to an object that no longer exists. Next is referencing environment. It is the collection of all names that are visible in the statement. A subprogram is active if its execution has begun but has not yet terminated. In a static scoped language, it is the local variables plus all of the visible variables in all of the enclosing scope. In a dynamic scoped language, referencing environment is the local variable plus all visible variables in all active subprograms.